Good morning and happy Monday to you. Abby Tedros here at the WBTV News Now desk. We are talking all things gas prices in the Charlotte area, nationally, and there is a lot to talk about today.
There certainly is, and good news for a lot of people. Some gas prices that are out there are officially below the state average.
Yeah, Liliana Pearson's been tracking it for us all morning long on WBTV, and joining us now at the News Now desk to break those details down a little bit more. Before we get to that, want to show you what the current conditions are out there if you are planning to get gas this morning. So we've created this graphic for you. North Carolina's average, like Liliana mentioned, $4.08. South Carolina's average, $3.96. The national average coming in at $4.25. Liliana, I know that you have been tracking those conditions at certain stations in the Charlotte area, and it's actually lower than the state average.
We found a couple places that it was at $3.99, under that $4 mark. Where I was this morning was at Outlet Boulevard and Steel Creek.
Okay.
People might be familiar. This is right next to the Charlotte Premium Outlets. If you're familiar with that shopping center, I saw two gas stations that were at $3.99, but it really is going to be all over the place. On the drive there, I saw some places that were $4.19, some places that were $4.12, but if you hunt around, you can find those places that are officially under $4 a gallon. Very exciting.
This is not, who thought we would be excited about $3.99 for gas?
I was thinking about that this morning when I was standing there looking at that, even just trying to remember what I was paying a few months ago, last summer.
Right.
And the fact that I was like,
I know, exciting times. You know, speaking of what we were paying a year ago, let's take a look at what those averages were according to AAA. So I'll take down this graphic. Let's reflect on better times. So in North Carolina, currently $4.08 for regular gas, but a year ago, the average was $2.68. So we have seen a record increase in prices. We know that inflation has played a role in this. We know that the crisis in Ukraine has also been a contributing factor. I know that this morning you were also taking a look at oil prices, lower than what we've seen per barrel, but haven't really seen that translate to what you're paying at the pump. So you learned some interesting tidbits about why that is.
Yeah, so crude oil at its peak was around $130 a barrel. It has fallen 30%. So right now it is floating around $100 a barrel right now. And so people would think with that big dramatic drop in crude oil prices that we would also see that reflected at the pump. But we're really only seeing it drop a couple cents, maybe 10 cents in some areas. So the real question people are asking is, why aren't we seeing this big dramatic fall in gas prices too? And there's kind of three big things that we can attribute that to. The first one is going to be demand. We are seeing the most demand since the mid-December time. So people are out there buying gas, they're traveling. We know analysts have told us that after 2 years cooped up from the pandemic, people don't care what the price is. They're gonna go out and they're going to do what they want to do, especially with spring and summer travel coming soon. That demand is going to stay high. The second one is a theory called rockets and feathers, right? So we're thinking something that shoots up and something that slowly floats down. So this is where gas stations are trying to save people a little bit of the whiplash of the price. They don't want to bring these prices way down and then maybe tomorrow or next week something happens and crude oil prices shoot back up and you just see these crazy fluctuation in gas prices. So they're trying to save some of that shock. The third one is these gas stations are selling gas that they bought at a very expensive rate. So they bought this gas when crude oil prices were still at $130 a barrel. So they're trying to make a profit. They still have to sell it. That's why we're seeing some of those places that are still selling at $4.19, $4.12, and some of those places that probably got newer shipments in, those are the gas stations that are going to be able to sell it at $3.99 and under the $4.
Rockets and feathers.
Rockets and feathers.
Very memorable.
Shoots up and floats down.
Floats down. I'm sure a lot of consumers are hoping that those prices will shoot down also, but it makes sense. You don't want that sticker shock. So while you were out at the gas stations this morning, you got to talk to some drivers who were filling up. What was the consensus out there? $3.99, not where we want to be, but it is lower than what the state average is.
Yeah, so especially the two gas stations that we were at this morning, $3.99, people were at the pumps, especially we were out there as the morning commute was starting to pick up. When it's driving, sometimes it can be hard to be picky and choosy, but
Exactly. You're going to end up getting gas anyways.
Exactly. But if people were stopping at that gas station, they were definitely very excited to see the $3.99 right there, especially a couple in the area. One man that we talked to is actually a truck driver. He's from California. And so he says that
he's used to the gas prices.
He's used to the gas prices, but he says he's been to Florida, he's been out to the East Coast, he's here in North Carolina right now, and he says the big thing that he's noticed, and this goes back to the demand, people are still on the roads. It doesn't matter what's going on, the roads are full right now.
We've been all over this country this past month, and nobody is staying home. I don't care if you got a Tahoe, a Suburban, whatever. Nobody is staying home. They don't care about the price of fuel. American people, when they want something, they want it right now.
One other thing that he noted as well that he didn't say there, because he's driving a truck, he's had to make some lifestyle changes himself. He says one of the big things is that he has to slow his speed down a lot to conserve gas because it is so expensive for him right now. Because of that, shipments are arriving later. You know, pretty much everything we get is arriving on these big trucks. And so that's where we start to see some of that kind of rollover impact, because these trucks are driving slower to try to save gas. Shipments are arriving later, and you're going to see inflation at things like grocery stores, car lots, kind of everywhere.
That gas saving theory about driving slower translates to regular drivers too. I know that you did an interview with AAA a few weeks back about how to conserve or stretch your dollar at the gas station, and that was one of the tidbits of advice.
Absolutely. She was saying that responsible drivers are going to be saving gas. So that's doing things like slowing down, but it's also having good regular car maintenance. If you aren't keeping up with oil changes, if the air pressure in your tires is low, you're going to get worse gas mileage. And really that's what it's coming down to, because you have to pay for gas no matter what. So what can you do to improve your gas mileage? That's also going to be doing things like making your car as light as possible. So if you have anything heavy in your car, whether it's kids sporting equipment, if you have a bunch of tools in your car, you're going to want to go ahead and unload those things just to make your car as light as possible.
All right. Good advice there. Also some good advice using the WBTV gas app tracker. I know that you were talking about it this morning.
Yes, and so this is actually how we were able to find these locations that had gas that was under $4. If you go ahead and pull it up for us, you are going to be able to see this whole list of locations, and if you scroll down, you can actually see that interactive map there. And so you can kind of plan out your commute. If you're going to school, if you're going to daycare, you're going to work, whatever it is, you can kind of look along your route, and you can see, yep, there's like 409s, 415s. Oh, is that a 389?
Wow, okay.
Goodness. So that is
Grant
going to
Street.
be the one you're going to want to stop at.
Interstate 85, excellent.
Yep, so all you have to do to look at this, you can look at it at home on WBTV.com, or you can download our WBTV News app. Click on the traffic tab, scroll down, and it's going to be right there so you can get it all figured out.
All right, always great having you here at the News Now Desk, Liliana. Great advice. Anything else that you think our viewers at home need to know?
I think that at this point it is going to be all about patience and waiting. We are starting to see gas prices fall, but because of that rockets and feathers, like we talked about.
Rockets and feathers, I love that name.
We don't know if oil
Concept,
prices are
so
going
much,
to
but
continue falling, or if these oil prices are going to go back up. So right now it really is just a hurry up and wait to see what happens.
Okay, Liliana Pearson joining me at the WBTV News Now Desk. Thanks for tracking those gas prices for us and that advice. Hey, if you are watching on Facebook Live, the stream is about to end. Our coverage will continue on the WBTV News app in just a moment. We will have your top headlines and a check of weather with Chief Meteorologist Al Conglin. He is tracking a first alert for your midweek, but Monday and Tuesday looking pretty good.